The European Union's AI Act. It's truly a landmark piece of legislation. It's poised to set a global standard for how we govern artificial intelligence. Today, we're diving deep into one specific but absolutely crucial part of it, Article 94. This analysis was carried out under the scientific supervision of Professor Vihar Kiskinov, so you can be confident we're in very good hands. So here's our roadmap. First, we'll get the big picture of the AI Act. Then, we'll zoom right in on Article 94. From there, we'll unpack the rights it gives to AI creators, take a look at who the regulators are, and finally, see how this all fits into the EU's much bigger digital universe. Let's get right into it. All right, first things first, the AI Act itself. You can think of this as the EU's massive effort to create a single harmonized set of rules for AI. And don't mistake this for just a European issue. This is designed to be a benchmark for AI regulation all around the world. At its heart, the Act is trying to achieve a delicate balance. On one hand, it wants to encourage innovation. On the other, it needs to make sure that any AI system used in the EU is safe and respects our fundamental rights. It's all about creating an ecosystem where AI can thrive, but thrive responsibly. Okay, now let's narrow our focus to the main event, Article 94. Now, I know it might look like just another technical clause buried deep in the text, but its impact on the providers of general-purpose AI models is huge, and we're talking about the big ones, the foundational models that power so many tools we're starting to use every day. So here's the actual text. It says, a rule from an older regulation is going to apply Mutatis Mutandis to these AI providers. That little Latin phrase, Mutatis Mutandis, well, that's the key that unlocks this entire provision. It's really where all the action is. It's definitely not a term you hear every day, is it? But to really get a grip on Article 94, you have to understand what it means. So what on earth are the lawmakers talking about here? In simple terms, it means with the necessary changes made. Think of it this way. Instead of writing a brand new rulebook from scratch for AI, the law does something clever. It takes an existing, tested framework and adapts it. This gives regulators the flexibility to apply old rules to this new, really unique context of AI. So what does this actually do in practice? What happens when you apply that old framework to this new world? Well, by using Mutatis Mutandis, Article 94 gives AI creators 3 really fundamental rights to make sure the whole process is fair when regulators start looking into their models. And these are the 3 pillars: the right to be heard, the right to access information, and the right to an effective remedy. What this means is, if an authority thinks an AI model isn't compliant, they can't just shut it down. The provider has a right to state their case, see the evidence, and if needed, fight the decision in court. Let's start with the right to be heard. This one is just fundamental to a fair process. It guarantees that a provider is told exactly what a regulator plans to do and, crucially, is given a real chance to present their side of the story before any final decision is made. Next up is access to information. This means an AI provider can actually look at the file the regulators have on them. And this gets to the heart of that balancing act I mentioned earlier. It provides the transparency a company needs to build a defense while still protecting genuinely confidential information, like the source code of the model. And finally, we have the right to an effective remedy. This is the ultimate safety net. If a provider feels a decision was unfair or their rights were violated, they can take it to court. This is so important because it makes sure the regulators are held accountable and don't have unlimited power. So that begs the question, who are these regulatory bodies that AI creators are going to be dealing with? Well, the AI Act sets up a whole new governance structure with a few key players in charge of enforcement. It's a system with a few different layers. You've got the new European AI office at the top, handling the big picture coordination, especially for those really powerful AI models. Then you have the market surveillance authorities, the MSAs, at the national level. These are the boots on the ground doing the actual investigations. And to help them all, there's a scientific panel of experts to provide technical advice, making sure the decisions are well-informed. Okay, so we've covered the rights and the regulators. But to really get it, you have to understand that the AI Act isn't an island. It's one very important piece of a much larger puzzle, the EU's grand strategy for the entire digital world. When you place it next to other huge regulations, you see how they all fit together. The GDPR, which you've probably heard of, handles our personal data. The Digital Services Act, the DSA, deals with online platforms. And the AI Act zeroes in on the specific risks and rules for AI systems. They're all designed to work together to cover the entire digital space. And that web of regulation is even bigger than you might think. connecting to laws about digital markets, data governance, and cybersecurity. The whole point is to create a seamless, comprehensive framework to govern the digital market in Europe, leaving no gaps. And this quote from the source material really brings it all home. It says, "The effectiveness of these remedies directly impacts the trust and confidence in the AI Act's ability to balance innovation with protection." In other words, these rights aren't just legal theories on a page. How well they work in the real world will decide if the AI Act actually succeeds in building trust and finding that sweet spot between innovation and safety. So, this leaves us with the big $64,000 question, doesn't it? The EU has built this incredibly ambitious, incredibly complex web of rules for our digital future. So, will it work? Will it lead to a safer, more innovative AI world? Or will it end up tying developers in so much red tape that it actually stifles the very creativity it hopes to guide? Well, that's the question we'll see answered in the years ahead.